Irish Media Network. We entertain.
This is Nialler9 and you're watching About Last Night.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of About Last Night. We have a fantastic lineup for you guys. I'm here in Hangdye and I'll be chatting to Nialler9. We have Joe, our West Coast team, who'll be chatting to Jim Page. And let's hand it over to our Belfast boys, who will be at the last ever Night Institute party. See you soon.
Thanks, Soraya. Down here tonight at the Night Institute with Timmy Stewart for a very, very emotional evening. It's the last Night Institute over 3.5 years. How you feeling, mate?
A mixture of a bit of sadness at the end of a run of something. You know, it's like almost like losing your left arm, but at the same time kind of elated because just the sheer amount of work that goes into maintaining a week.
Yeah, you can tell though, week on week you've been performing, you've been creating a night that everyone wants to go to repeatedly. You've got a culture there and you've got regulars going. So how has that been developing that over the past couple of years?
Oh, it's been amazing. I think that's the best thing about the Night Institute, the little sort of collective that's formed around it. Yeah, new DJs, we created some new residents, people that we've given regular work to, and just this little kind of family of people who regularly come to the nights. I'm going to miss those faces, but it's not the end. It's the end of the weekly because we just feel that we have to spend our time a bit better these days, and there's other projects and things in the studio and DJ gigs things that we want to do. So doing a weekly residency is so time consuming and it takes up so much of your thinking power.
Yeah, even a month off event that takes so much forward planning. And doing it week in, week out must be quite strenuous and takes a lot of stress.
Yeah, it is. And you know, after 3.5 years, we're kind of looking forward to stepping back from that a wee bit and just turning up for other people, DJing, and not really having to wear the promoter's hats as much. That's the truth. So, and just, you know, we're not going to disappear. You know, we're going to do, I don't know, around 10 to 12 parties a year.
Oh yeah, so that's your plan. You're going to do a couple of monthly parties.
We started the Night Institute as a weekly, so it feels kind of weird because we've come to the end of that, but we just don't want to. We just want to keep it special, and we want to just have some parties popping up. We're going to move around venues and different things like that. Similar format to what we've had,
yeah,
but we let the element of surprise back rather than just being in the same base all the time.
Yeah, well, that sounds fantastic. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see the Night Institute just disappear,
No.
But have you got any memories that you want to share with us that you just solidify what you would believe that Night Institute stands for?
Yeah, well, do you know what? I think we were really, really proud that we were the club night in Belfast that appealed to all ages. So you would have had people there in their 20s and you would have people there in their 40s and 50s. And that to me felt like the sort of clubs that I played at when I go to Europe, you know, where they're not really split into these little sort of pigeonholes of, you know, young people go to this club and older people go to this club. So I really liked that, and I really liked the whole sort of we appealed to gay, straight, all ethnicities.
Ethnicities.
Yeah, well, we can trip that one up. But yeah, we just seem to have appeal for everybody who really wanted to come out and hear some good music and have a good time. And there was something about that vibe. It's hard to create that, but it just kind of naturally happened.
Yeah, it just happened week in, week out.
Something that we were giving off with the whole Night Institute, the way we were rolling out the values or the ethos behind it, and it was appealing to a certain type of person. So that I'm really, really happy about. And also, as I say, the massive connection of friends that we've made. And yeah, so it was good, yeah.
Well,
good.
I think I speak for everyone. We say we're going to miss it. Everyone in Belfast is going to miss the Night Institute, but as you said, it's a long way before it's ending now.
One door closes and another one opens.
Like to hear that. Well, anyway, Timmy, it's been fantastic speaking to you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Guys, down here with Ross at the Night Institute tonight for the final one of the 3.5 years long span in Belfast. So Ross, tell us a wee bit about how you got involved in the Night Institute and your role.
Fuck, I came up at a young, when I started partying, definitely at about 18, Night Institute was the first thing to go to, you know. We started off in Ethos and Echo, which is a wonderful spot in Belfast. Moved into Foundry then, which was a great spot, but lacked a bit. Then I moved here, and this has just been its home since. You know, it's low, and there's cages everywhere, and it's just dark, and it's dirty, and it fits that vibe of Belfast, you know, where you can just go somewhere it's reliable on a Saturday night, a nice resident night. And Timmy and Jordan are going to play stuff that's obscure, it's unusual, and they're going to support their own talent as well. So, all in all, it's sad to see it go. It was a great spot for Belfast, you know. Come out here and get a fucking 8, 9, 10 out of 10 every time, be it 50, 100, 200, 300 people.
Yeah, as you said, it was just it kind of just fit Belfast. It does personify Belfast, especially the venue itself. And it's great that the Night Institute ended up there where it did. Yeah. But can you give us any highlights of your experience at the Night Institute?
Jesus, there's been a few really sweaty ones. Some fella came out the door to me earlier on and said to me, I haven't seen you in 2 years. The last time I seen you were soaked in sweat. So,
partying
at 18, 19. Yeah, I just came and danced like fuck and enjoyed myself and got really sweaty. So
that's what it's about, mate.
Born into that, and now it's just enjoying what these guys do. And again, like, it's a shame to see them go, but they're going to move on to bigger.
Well, it is a shame to see them go. We were speaking to
things.
Timmy earlier, and he said it's not the end by any means.
No, God, no.
They're planning on hopefully doing a couple parties every year.
Two very talented guys, two unbelievably talented guys.
Well,
really
we'll definitely see more of them, like 100%. But Ross, great seeing you, mate. Thanks for joining us.
I appreciate it, man. All right.
I'm back to you, Soraya.
Thanks a million, Dara. I'm here with Nialler9. How are you doing?
I'm good, yeah, I'm good. It's my first night out this year, so I'm happy to be out.
Yeah, a little bit pumped then, yeah?
Yeah, a little bit.
Fantastic. So, obviously, you've played in some serious venues. You've been on lineups for festivals, but we're here in Hang Dai, which is a little bit more of an intimate and smaller venue. Yeah. What kind of crowds do you like to play to?
Well, this is a great place because the sound is really good. It's got the Toby Hatchet sound system. It's got the details in this place are incredible. Like this table has like absorption in it, so that the sound is perfect for when we can have a chat. Down to the screws in the ceiling, they have picked them so that they absorb sound properly. So it's a really lovely place to play. It's an all vinyl system, so for me it's a really nice place to play. It's a disco bar vibe, so it's a bit more relaxed than most. But we've had people hanging out at these
they get a bit wild in here.
Yeah, so like the subway car kind of buzz. We had people hanging out, so it can be nice. It's kind of like low pressure, but it's really, really lovely. Yeah. And because of the sound system, it's a pleasure for me to play these kind of places. That sound system means that you hear everything properly, and it's just a lovely system. So it's kind of just like a really nice night for me.
It's a nice vibe in here as well.
Yeah.
So speaking of venues, actually, Dublin is kind of losing some of its hot nightclubs. It's well-established ones. What are your views on this?
I have a lot of views on this.
Yeah.
Well, look, the problem we have right now is that we're losing places and they're not being replaced, and nobody's building new venues. So where are we all going to go? The Give Us the Night campaign is something that's working towards that, and I urge anyone who's interested in nightlife to get involved in that and just talk to people about it. But there's a few different things we need to look at. Licensing laws are very restrictive in this country. They're not conducive to opening nightclubs. But also there's a lot to be learned from the likes of Jam Park, which are going to be open perhaps, which will look at having a multi-purpose venue, a place during the day that you can go for coffee, escape rooms or whatever else it's going to be in that place, but also a place for venues. But the licensing laws, we need to look at like the opening hours and the closing hours. Closing hours could be staggered for number one, but there's opportunity now to build a venue, to build a space. Clearly, the likes of District 8 and Tivoli do well. They did well when they were open.
Need a bit of a super club, like, you know.
Well, it's not like those nights aren't doing well, and that's why they shut down. They shut down because the spaces were going to be turned into something else. So the appetite is there, and somebody needs to grab it and go, right, let's actually build this venue, 600, 700, 800 capacity, and have a space that's just for clubs, soundproof, lack of residents around the area. Like, this is an example of the room. This room is treated in a way that you can't hear it outside because they know where they are on Camden Street. So you have to have that in mind if you're going to build a club. Unfortunately, that's expensive. But currently, it's really prohibitive to actually start a new club venture. So we need to make it easier.
We totally do. So speaking of nights, and you run a night, Lumo and Tango. How did this come about? Tell me a little about this night.
Well, Tango is kind of like Lumo. Our idea was just like, do you know what? There's a lot of house and techno nights out there. Let's do something that's like pure fun, varied fun. So if you come to Lumo, you kind of hear anything from Caribou to this kind of stuff to Phil Collins to Barry White. So we play a bit of everything. It's just like whatever. There's no pretension. It's open. It's available to everybody. We just didn't want any borders and we didn't want any rules, and we get a really nice sound crowd of all ages, which is a nice thing. So it's 41 nights we've been doing this month. Wow. So it's been going really well.
Yeah. Fantastic. I must get out to it, but also your established music blog. How did it start and get to where it is today? It's it's so everybody knows it and everybody's reading it and it's brilliant content.
I've just been working on it for it's 13 years now. I just started as a hobby, and it turned into something really big, and something that I could sustain my living with. So it's kind of like the first thing I do now, but it branches off all these other things. I just really enjoy it. I just love writing about new music, but like it's the first thing that gets me up in the morning.
What you do, which is amazing.
Yeah. So it's great, and it's an opportunity to help people discover new music and to share new bands and to get that out there in a way that's like it's still relevant.
We're all for that.
Yeah, it's great. So still enjoying it.
Well, that's good. So obviously, when you're not writing or DJing or doing your podcast, you're also manage a band. I saw this band close Lecture Picnic, the Body and Soul area 2 years ago. Laboom. They were my highlights of that Lecture Picnic festival. They were amazing. How did that come about, managing them?
Well, it turns out like Christy from the band was a big fan of Nialler9. He approached me. I'd never managed a band before, and I was kind of going, I'm not sure if I'll do this, but he's had his head on screwed. Like, he knew what he wanted. He liked my taste in music, so we hit it off, and it's been going really well. So like, I've been managing probably for about a year and a half, 2 years now, and we're doing lots of stuff in Ireland. They're selling out venues all around Ireland. We've got a big show announcement coming in Dublin, but our focus now is getting outside of Ireland, doing more UK and European stuff. So that's where we're at now.
I think they'll be well received.
Yeah, they already have. They've done stuff in Bilbao, and we did Primavera last year, did the Great Escape last year as well. So it's kind of just building that fan base outside of Ireland more. So that's our focus for 2019.
Well, I wish them the best with that.
Yeah, lots of plans.
So come here, what kind of music are you listening to at the moment? What's on the playlist?
I'm loving a lot of the new Irish rap stuff in particular, I think. There's a guy called Pat Lagoon from Waterford. I really dig him. I like, there's a band called Boy Azuga I've been listening to this week. Kind of indie, weird band. I love the James Blake album. That's my favourite thing at the moment. The Spanish flamenco artist Rosalia, love that. Really, really cool stuff. She's on the James Blake album actually. And then just loads of really exciting, like there's loads of really exciting rap music. I'm loving Coach.
Rap is coming quite big actually in Ireland at the moment.
Yeah, there's lots of interesting stuff. There's a girl from Limerick called Denise Chila. She's really good. And she's associated with the Sangano family, and I really love what she's doing.
Yeah.
So
who would your ones be to watch 2019? Do you think?
In terms of Ireland, Denise is somebody I'm really interested in. She's got a poet's soul and lots of spoken word stuff going on. There's a young guy called Skinner I'm really interested in at the moment. He's kind of like an Irish King Cruel. And there's a producer called Moving Still who's doing some Arabic Irish edits. And I really like that stuff at the moment because it's very unique, and it's something that he talks about, like fusing his Irish heritage with his Arabic heritage. So it's like, it's something different, and we're starting to see that kind of cross-culture stuff.
That's nice,
and I love that.
Yeah,
it's just really, it's fresh and it's new and it's different.
Totally.
So into that. And also Mixing Fairbanks, who are continuing to make amazing disco edits. And they're going to be doing some original stuff soon, so they're great.
Savage. Well, I'm definitely going to look up a few of those. But Maria, thanks a million for chatting to us. Good luck on your first night back on the decks. Yeah, you'll be great, I'm sure you will. But come here, we're going to head over to Joe in Galway. See you later, guys.
Thanks a million, Soraya. I think it's going to be a great night in Hangdye from what I've heard. But I'll tell you one thing for a fact, folks. It's going to be a great night in Galway tonight because I am live in the Crane Bar with none other than Jim Page. Jim, thanks a million for sitting down and chatting to me. Welcome back to Galway. Good to be back.
Yeah, it's great to be back. I love the Crane and I love the town.
Excellent. Well, we love you, Joe. I'm going to jump straight into it and talk about your song Hiroshima Nagasaki Russian Roulette, famously covered by Christy Moore. I've always found Christy to be more than just a singer-songwriter. I feel he's a chronicler of Irish folklore. And I think that's one of the key tenets of folk music, that it's storytelling through song. Can you tell me a little bit about what you've tried to express through your music and how that's developed throughout your career?
Well, just you know, storytelling through song could make you an academic. So folk music is a little bit different than that. It's actually a kick toward progress. It's a stirring stick toward you know, with what the things that we have to deal with in ourselves and our lives and our social lives. It moves. Yeah. Folk music moves. So the song Hiroshima was written because I live in the States and in Washington State, and we had a governor at the time who was really big on nuclear energy. She had been the chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission under Richard Nixon, and she opened up the state for everybody to come and bring their garbage and dump it, all their toxic waste, right? She invited everybody, and it was leaking, and she was complaining, and it was leaking, and Greenpeace was fining it, and she was complaining, and finally she shut it down and said, okay, we're not going to do this anymore until... And then there was a doctor that came on the TV news the next day and said, if we can't dump our low-level isotopes, we're going to have to stop treating people. Okay. So they reopened the waste site right away. And the nuclear industry won, and the people lost. And it became kind of scary in that respect. And, you know, so I was having a debate one night with a friend of mine, and I said it was like playing Hiroshima roulette, and I said, no, it was like playing Hiroshima Nagasaki roulette, and then no, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Russian roulette. And I thought, that's a song. And so what Christy sings is this, and I sing, is the second draft of it. The first one didn't work, and I threw it out. I don't remember why. Okay. You know, it's been a long time.
Can I ask you, that form of using music as a medium of social activism, do you feel that's still alive? Do you feel the younger generation, my generation, are still using that to the same extent?
Oh, yeah, of course. What do you think? Hip-hop or rap?
I actually thought there was, a correlation there.
That's the reason that stuff took off and people loved it so much, was because it got real.
It was reflective of what they were experiencing.
It was talked about what people needed to talk about. Regular old music, pop music, whatever you want to call it, just got dead. Everybody was afraid to talk because they'd lose their record contracts. They'd lose, you know, they'd get bad reviews. People would stop coming to see them because music was supposed to make you forget. You can't forget when you're staring at an abyss. You can't forget when the forests are on fire and it's 50 below zero outside when it ought to only be 30.
Fairly reflective of what's happening right now.
Exactly, that's what I'm talking about right now. You can't really be complacent and ignore it. Nobody was singing about it, so somebody started talking about it. And that made the people who were singing actually get on the stick and start singing about things too. It kicked everything going. So yeah, folk music does that. Yeah. And in that sense, hip hop and rap is and was folk music. You know, once it gets corporatized, we have a different discussion. Yeah. But until then, it's folk music.
Touching on the subject, but developing in a little bit of a different angle. I read your journal recently. Oh, okay. And I read the entry about... I don't write
very often on it, so...
Well, I've enjoyed them. I read the entry about Luke Kelly, and you were... Yeah. But it was really poignant because I read it this week, and two statues were erected from this week. And you're talking about the clarity and the purity of his voice. But in the end, you said, if you're walking through Dublin or Cork or Galway, occasionally you hear a young boy singing Raglan Road or A Song for Ireland. And that's a direct link to Luke Kelly. Do you feel that there's still that appreciation? Because I do, in Ireland. In North America, is there still the connection to folk music?
That's a hard question to answer because it's a really big country and I don't know that much about it, to be honest with you. It's huge. I live in Seattle. Seattle has legalized busking. I legalized it myself in 1974, overturned an old law, right? So it's kind of like a mecca. People are playing all over the place. A lot of people ignore it. A lot of people think it's just crazy people or it's drunks or something. But then a lot of people don't. I mean, it's a struggle between what is authentic culture and what isn't. And it's a public argument that we've had for thousands of years. It's not going to stop all of a sudden just because we want it to. I think a lot of great artists on the stage used to perform in bars or used to perform on the street, and there's not a lot of difference really in those two venues. Not really. Anyway, a lot of people came from different places. You know, the famous people came from different places. Robin Williams used to busk out in front of a Safeway store in San Francisco. Yeah. You know, it's par for the course in showbiz. You know, it's an open world out there. So.
Thank you.
I don't know if that answers your question.
No, like it's more opening the conversation.
I mean, you've got to. You have to give credence and honor to the roots of the beauty of the art form. I have a song called Jim's Song, which is about somebody that Nicole Blue of Galway, a busker of Galway.
Who's opening for you tonight?
Yes, she is. and I both knew, and we did a Buskers Guild with him in Seattle, and did the
Price Market Performers Guild.
Yeah. Right, Pike Market Performers Guild, exactly. Jim was a Vietnam veteran, okay, and he came into Seattle in 1974 drunk and disorderly on a freight train in a boxcar. Decided he wanted to get his life together and come back there and live. He was from the Midwest. He went back home, he sobered up, he cleaned up. He came back with a wife and a couple of kids. Didn't know how to make ends meet. He had PTSD. He couldn't keep his mouth shut. If he saw something that he thought was nonsense, he'd call it nonsense. And people would walk off. He'd lose friends. He'd lose jobs, whatever, because he couldn't keep himself from telling what he saw as the truth. And that happens to you when you face death. It's just like, why should I lie? Why should I lie? I almost died, or I saw somebody die. This is more serious. So the only job that he could actually hold on to was a singer's job. And the only kind of a singer's job was a busker's job, because there was nobody to fire you. So he could sing what he needed to sing. And he went out there and he sang for 20 years. He died about 10 years ago. He sang for 20 years out there, and he built a body of work. He wrote a body of songs, and his voice got stronger and louder and clearer, and people came from all over the country to see him, actually.
In Seattle?
Yeah. Well, all over the place, yeah. All over the country. When he died, they blocked off the street, and 400 people came and filled it up.
I could honestly chat to you all night. Unfortunately, we don't have it. Unfortunately, no, because it's such an interesting topic, and there's so much to it.
It's a very important art form, and you have to understand what it is. And Luke Kelly is part of that river of art. Okay?
Yeah.
That has to be understood. So yeah, that's still true.
Thanks a million. Just before we let you go, for all the viewers at home, where can we catch you between now and you going back to the States?
Oh, that's a good question. I have to read it off. I hope that's okay. Tonight at the Crane Bar, of course, which will be too late for you folks at home, maybe. Tomorrow night, February 2nd, upstairs at Dolan's, that's right, in Limerick. February 4th, Monday, is Mick Murphy's Bar in Ballymore, Eustis. Thursday, February 7th, is Triskel Christchurch in Cork. February 8th is Tremor Coast Guard Station Theatre. I'm looking forward to that one. The idea of a Coast Guard Station Theatre turns me on. Right, exactly. February 11th is the Ross Trevor Folk Club. That date had to be moved. So if you got the old information, that's wrong. Then it's actually February 11th. February 12th is the American Bar in Belfast. And February 16th, the last gig of, the 13th is Groucho's in that's in Rich Hill. Okay. Yeah, that's up north. And the last one is February 16th at the Seamus Ennis Arts Centre in Knoll.
Very good. And then you're back to the States.
Then I hang around for a couple of days and go back. Yeah. Okay. So check it out. Check out some of those gigs. Right,
thanks a million, Jim. So good to talk to you, and thanks a million for chatting to us. Really looking forward to the gig. Sure. Thanks to all our guests this weekend from Belfast, from Dublin, and of course from the Graham Bar, myself and Jim. Thanks to everyone for watching at home. Please, guys, if you like what you see, go onto the Irish Media Network YouTube channel, subscribe, comment, tell us what you like, tell us what's coming up that you'd like us to cover. All our shows about last night, 22 Live, and Find a Cook It All there. Please follow us at our handle. Our Twitter handle is ALN_IE. Same at Insta and Facebook. They're both about last night. Guys, have a great weekend. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Be good, be careful, and wrap up. It's cold out there. See you next week.